Hello, Jenny Hall here for Honey Bee Stamps. Today I have a double stencil technique to share with you. I'm using the Birds of Paradise stamps and dies together with Tropical Tweets stamps and dies. These two sets go together very nicely as they also have dies that cut out the sentiments. That is perfect. I'm going to be using two stencils today. One is an oval spotlight stencil and the other is a stained glass stencil. Now the stained glass is a pattern and the oval just isolates a certain area of the card. Together, these will create a really unique look. I'm stamping some of the bird images from Birds of Paradise onto a piece of Bristol paper, and I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I have used some clear embossing powder over that ink. That'll seal in and make my images shiny on the black stamped lines. Here's my technique for using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I first like to add the darkest color down into the shadow or the base of the particular area of the image that I'm coloring. Say, for example, this leaf. And then I'll take the lighter color and work from the opposite outside edge and bring the color in towards the darker color to where it'll mix together where it meets. Using the two different pens together blends beautifully. If you are color challenged or don't have a lot of confidence in your coloring, this method may be just what you're looking for. So use that darker color first in at the contour of the image, and then use that lighter color to come from first the outside part in order to keep the lighter color intact, and then get towards that darker color and watch them just mix on the paper. Sometimes I use the brush to run back and forth where the two colors meet, and that helps very easily. I'm going to color the birds in exactly the same way, and where those two colors meet together, then I just give a little bit of back and forth brush motion to the end of the brush, and it just carries that color and blends it perfectly. In the areas that I want to remain the very lightest, then I'll use the number 999 of the Zig brushes, and that is a clear, colorless blender pen. It carries the same type of fluid, but it has no color. That allows for the color that's already on the paper to be diluted and brought out at a really nice gradient. It's very easy and very pretty. Now for our technique. First thing I did was use a little tiny bit of tacky adhesive on the back of the card base, and this is a top folding A2 sized card base. That way it'll stay in place on my work surface. Now I'm using the oval spotlight stencil, and I've secured it in place right over my card base with some post-it tape. Washi tape works really great for this as well. Now I'm going to use a few contrasting colors that will be sure to show through on the end of the technique. I'm laying down an ample amount of color, but not the darkest that is possible. I want to see the nice bright color, but I don't want it to fully saturate and get the darkest shade possible. And that's because I'm going to use the darkest blue of the three colors that are already there on the paper, and I'm going to lay down that stained glass stencil. Now I'm adding that darkest of the three colors right over it, and it's going to mix together with the color that's already on the paper, and this beautiful blue combination is going to emerge. The cracked pistachio is one of my favorite Distress Oxide colors, and it blends beautifully with the salty ocean that is going on top of it. Now I'm using a light hand, and that is going to bring everything just a shade darker. Not as dark as it'll go, but just a shade darker. If you need to, then pick up the corner of your stencil and make sure that you're making enough of an impact on the color. Now, to keep everything just in that location, I've diluted some white acrylic paint and added some splatters. Some of it got underneath that top stencil, so I'm just going to dry it up a little bit. We'll cover that area of smudge with our images. Peeling back the reveal, I love the reveal from using stencils. It is so much fun. I'm going to add the 2 flamingo birds. One on the right is added with dimension using foam adhesive, and the one on the left is staggered just a little bit higher and adhered down with liquid glue. And that's because I want to create the illusion of depth. Now I'm going to adhere some of the images that I colored to go right over the bottom feet of that bird, and that's also going to make that bird appear as if it's further in the background. My sentiment is coming from the coordinating stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it on a scrap of black paper. I've treated it with the anti-static powder tool, and I'll be using some white embossing powder. This says, "We flamingo together," and that's just so cute. There is a coordinating die that cuts out the words all in one strip, and that is so convenient. That's one of the things I love the most about Honeybee, is they really put so much thought into what it's going to be like to put together a project using these supplies. I love them. Here are the Sunlight Confetti Mix flat sequins, and these have just the right sparkle to where they pick up the blues and greens, and they go along with the pinks as well. This was a very fun project to create. I love this double stencil technique, and I hope to see that you will try it. Visit Honeybee Stamps on our YouTube channel. Hit the bell to subscribe and be notified every time we have a new video upload. Thanks for watching.